Yes. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome to Football Heritage TV Plus. Today, I want to do a quick video on the FA Cup. It is FA Cup weekend, and for some of us, it means that our teams are not involved, and we get a breather. We get to put our feet up and concentrate on pastures new. However, for some people, the FA Cup is still very much a reality. So I'm going to have a look at who is playing this weekend. Let's have a look, and I'll give you my predictions on the games. But first, before we do that, I'm going to look at the odds for the FA Cup. And some big clubs have gone. Who do we know that's gone so far before we look at the odds? Arsenal, gone. Arsenal have gone, being knocked out to Man United. Tottenham, my team, gone. Knocked out to Aston Villa. Liverpool, the giant killing, if you will, by Plymouth. The other one that's gone as well is Chelsea, isn't it? 4 of the traditional big 6, 7 have gone. So who does that leave? Let's see what the bookies make of this, shall we? So if I add that to the stage, you'll see there that the bookies make Manchester City the overwhelming favourites. And if you look at the odds that are going in there, I mean, look, most of the bookies have got them in at 6-4. A couple at 6-4, 7-4, the majority, and then 13-8. So Man City are the odds-on favourites to lift the FA Cup. Now, they've won it multiple times before. So Man City winning an FA Cup, if I had said that to you at the beginning of the season, I don't think too many people would have gone, nah, not City. I think people would have said, yeah, that's a good shout. It's Man City. However, the season hasn't really panned out well for them. Yes, they're fourth, probably going to finish the season in third is my prediction. But there'll be teams on that list that will fancy playing Man City in a one-off game. They'll fancy playing them. They will. Now, we know that Man City have got Plymouth this weekend at Manchester City. So you would probably think that Man City will cruise through, but we'll get to that in a minute. Newcastle United, they're in the final of the League Cup, and you can get Newcastle United for as little as 9-2. You can see there, most of the bookies, 7-1, 5-1, and then you can get them at 9-2, which is, of course, 4.5-1. So there, some good odds there for Newcastle. Eddie Howe, he's shown now he's got to 2 cup finals as Newcastle manager. Can he get to a 3rd cup final? Can he win one of them? So Newcastle United are the second favourites. Then you've got serial winner Unai Emery and Aston Villa in 3rd. Now, Aston Villa are not serial winners. But Unai Emery is, and Unai Emery knows how to get over the line in cup competitions. We've seen it for his time in Spain and multiple Europa League titles that he's won. So Aston Villa, you can get there. You can see at 7-1, the majority, but a couple at 6.5-1 as well if we look at 13-2. Now, Bournemouth are the full favourites. And you know football's all changing, don't you? When Bournemouth are favoured above Man United. So Bournemouth in there, and the majority of them are in at 8-1. 8-1 for Bournemouth. You can get them as low as 17-2. I think one of the bookies has got them there at 9-1. BetMGM has got them at 9-1. But Bournemouth will fancy themselves. Good team, good manager. Iriola's getting a lot of plaudits. So you've got Bournemouth. Then after that, Man United, Nottingham Forest, they come in at 5th and 6th. And then if we scroll down the odds, you can then start seeing, you can then start seeing Palace at 12s or 14s. You can get Brighton at 12-1. There you go. There's one there at 12-1 for Brighton. Fulham out between the 14s and 17-1s. Then you get to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Then we start going out, don't we? 50-1s, the 80-1s. Millwall at 200-1. Cardiff, you can get a 200-1. Plymouth are at 250-1. And of course, Plymouth have got Man City. So let me know in the chat right now, when you see this video, what odds would you give? Are Man City going to win the FA Cup, or is it going to be somebody else from that list of teams? Obviously, you've got the first game tonight. So without further ado, let's have a look, shall we, at the FA Cup fixtures for tonight. Now, this is taken straight off of the FA website. Let me just blow that up a tiny bit for you. Let's blow that up there. So let's start with tonight's game. And here are my predictions. You've got Aston Villa versus Cardiff City. Aston Villa, for me, at home against Cardiff, who are not having a great season. I can't see any result other than Aston Villa. Now, yes, you will look at games and say, well, there's going to be an upset somewhere. I don't see it here. I think that Unai Emery will safely see his Aston Villa team through. I probably think this game will be 3 or 4-1. That would be my prediction, but that is obviously live tonight on your telly box. So Aston Villa versus Cardiff, I don't see any real shot going on there. But equally, again, as you're watching this video, please let me know in the comments section, what do you think? Could Cardiff do a job on them? Maybe you're seeing this video and that game has already taken place, but it hasn't as of the time of me making this video. Then if we scroll down a tiny bit, we can look at the games that are going on tomorrow. Again, Preston versus Burnley. Really difficult to call. Preston are a difficult team to play against, but Burnley don't concede goals. And of course, you've got the ex-England, Charlton, Chelsea, Tottenham midfielder, West Ham midfielder, Scotty Parker is the manager at Burnley. And Burnley simply do not concede goals. They quite simply do not concede goals. And Scott Parker will be hoping that that is what can get them through to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Once you get that stage, it's all about what's the draw. Can a team like Burnley go forth and prosper? Let's have a look at the next game. So for me, I'm going to go with Preston North End Burnley. I think that's going to be a draw, and I do think it will go to extra time, and I think Burnley will nick this. I think Burnley will nick this game against Preston North End. Then you've got a lively one tomorrow, haven't we? We've got a South London derby, Crystal Palace versus Millwall. Crystal Palace versus Millwall, a real bitter London derby there. Both clubs are not too far away from where I live, actually. Again, I don't think you're going to see anything other than a Crystal Palace win. Crystal Palace are not in European football. In the league, they're not getting relegated. The likelihood that they make Europe via the league is a possibility, but I think it's very short. So I think Palace will go strong. And I do think that Crystal Palace will run out winners versus Millwall in 90 minutes. So far there, I think it's going to be Aston Villa, Burnley and Crystal Palace. And then you've got a really good game, haven't we? Tomorrow, the only 3 o'clock FA Cup kickoff, which is actually quite sad, isn't it? That there's only one 3 o'clock Saturday FA Cup kickoff. And that is going to be Bournemouth versus Wolves. Now, Wolves have certainly picked up under Vitor Pereira, but AFC Bournemouth are a good team, aren't they? Bournemouth are a good football team. Now, they've lost their way recently, a couple of defeats in their last 3 games, but they are very good at home. They're a good team. This is a really tough one to call. I think that this game, this might be a draw that goes to extra time. I do think Bournemouth will just nick it. So I don't know. Maybe they don't. I think they will just nick this. So I'm going to go with Bournemouth there. And then the next game, I don't really need to. I mean, Man City versus Plymouth Argyle. Yes, Plymouth stunned Liverpool. I can't see them going to the Etihad and getting anything. I think like in, was it the last round or a couple of rounds ago, Man City absolutely battered whoever they played at home in the FA Cup. Apologies, it's gone out of my head, but it was like 7-0 something, wasn't it? 7-1, something like that. Man City, whoever they put out, they should have enough. I'm guessing you're going to see the likes of McAtee come into the team, Rico Lewis, Nico Riley. I just think they're going to have way too much, and I think they'll run home winners 4-5-0 against Plymouth Argyle. So from there, so far, I have gone for Aston Villa, Burnley, Palace, Bournemouth, and Man City. So no shocks for me so far. And then we look at the last 3 games in the FA Cup. Newcastle versus Brighton. Now, this is an interesting one because Brighton have just started to turn the corner. They had a brilliant start to the season, didn't they, Brighton? Then fell away a little bit. Lots of draws. They don't lose too many. Then fell away a bit. And now they've come back with a good run. They knocked Chelsea out in the last round. They've won some games, 2 or 3 games now in a row in the Premier League. They're looking good, but it is away at St. James's Park, and Newcastle on their day are an absolute match for anybody. Now, this one is one that I'm really up in the air with. Newcastle United are second favourites to win this tournament, by the way. So I'm going to have to go with Newcastle because of the home advantage. But I do think that this game could go to extra time as well. I do feel this is going to be a very, very close encounter. And I think Newcastle United will nick it. Now, Man United versus Fulham. This is a good one for me. Man United, in years gone by, you would say, wouldn't you? Old Trafford, Man U at home to little old Fulham. No offence, Fulham. Man United are going to win this. But over the years, Man United aren't what they were. Fulham are a much better outfit these days. And Fulham do carry a lot of threat. So for me, I feel like this could be where I see, I don't want to say an upset because Fulham are better this season than Man U. I can see Fulham nicking this. I can. So I'm going to go with a Fulham win. God knows Ruben Amorim needs it. He needs the win. I just think Fulham are really well organised. So I could be wrong on this one, but Fulham, for me, will get a result at Manchester United. Then to the last game of the weekend, Forest versus Ipswich. Listen, Ipswich Town they do play some good stuff. They're a decent little outfit. Unfortunately, they've just not got enough what I call big guns. They look like they're going to go down with a bit of a whimper unless they can find 2, 3, 4 wins in a row from somewhere. And Nottingham Forest are very difficult to beat at the City Ground. I'm going to go with Nottingham Forest to win this. I just think, as much as I'd like to see them go out purely for my mate Wolfie, I truly believe that Nottingham Forest will have too much for Ipswich here. Nottingham Forest having a good season. They're very well organised, very well drilled defensively. And I do think that they will have too much. So I am going for Nottingham Forest to win that. I'm going for Fulham to beat United, Newcastle to beat Brighton. I'm going for City and Bournemouth to both win at home, Palace to win at home, Burnley to win away, and Aston Villa at home. Now, if I had to put my, I'm going to really cop out here. I'm going to say that I do think Man City will be the FA Cup winners this year. I think it will be something they need to say, yeah, we've had a bad year for our standards, but they'll be able to turn around and say, well, we won the FA Cup. So I think they will win the FA Cup. Let me know, who do you see winning the FA Cup? Do you agree or disagree with any of my predictions? Let me know. And thank you once again. Thank you. We've got to 730 subscribers in 8 days. So thank you very much. Please continue to like, please subscribe, and please keep the comments coming. I do like engaging with my audience. Take care, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs, who aren't even in the cup.